Hello, my little trekkers. Happy Tuesday. So happy to have you back. So, today we're actually going to talk a little bit about Thailand. Everyone knows, if you don't know by now, that I lived in Thailand for about 2 years teaching English. And, lately, I've had a lot of questions about, what I wish I knew before I went. And I already talked about my time in a previous episode about, my time in Thailand, but now it's going to be the 16 things I wish I knew before I moved abroad and taught in Thailand. It's going to be a pretty quick episode, but I just, want to go into all of this because most recently I had a girl who's a senior and in college, and we just got to talking. I was working an event, and she's like, I don't really want to go into the workforce as quick. I'm thinking of a gap year, but I don't just want to travel. And I'm like, girl, you should teach abroad. And she's like, oh, I'm thinking about it. I just don't 100% know what to do. I don't know what country. I'm between China and, she said, Malaysia, maybe. I can't 100% remember, but it was definitely, I'm pretty sure, no, I'm pretty sure it was those two countries. So I told her, girl, what about Thailand? I used to teach there. Listen to this episode. If you have any questions, DM me. Don't be scared. She was so grateful. We spent about 30 minutes talking. I was working an event, and, I was not supposed to be talking to someone that long, but whatever. She needed the help. And how me, of all people, could not help this girl when the odds are meeting someone who will tell you all this information is not as common. So let's get into it. Number one, you do not have to go through a company or organization to teach abroad. You can do it independently. This is something that I definitely, so I don't regret doing it through a company, right? Or an organization, but I think I do regret the one I chose. I think I'm just a little bummed because my sister's roommate, she went through with this organization, and she never told me, hey, you could just go independently. You can just go on Facebook. It's super legit, I swear. And Google teaching jobs in Thailand, expat jobs in China, teaching English in Korea, whatever. There's so many different variations of that. Excuse me. There's so many different variations of that I didn't know. I will say going with a company made me feel a little more comfortable because, Thailand isn't as developed, but guys, it's super safe. My little trekkers, super, super safe. And everyone's super friendly and nice. And there actually is a really big expat teacher community. So I feel that that makes it easier. I also think if you're going to choose a school, ask how many expat teachers are there. If you want to completely do this on your own and just feel completely submersed, do it. But trust me, I was in very small towns and I was very immersed, but I'm so happy, so, so happy that I had an expat community to rely on because I think if I just went in to just Thai people, I would have been a little bit overwhelmed and maybe a little lonely just because I did make Thai friends and Thai people are so nice, but sometimes it's not as easy to make friends as an adult. And also, it's not like you can really be friends with your students. I mean, my students did become, they would take they're like I call them my little siblings. Like they would take me out with their parents to the markets, show me around, things like that. And it's okay to do that when you're in Thailand and you're an expat teacher. Also, I was really young. I was 23 to 25. So and I wasn't that big of an age gap from my first students, and it's okay. Obviously in America you don't do that. It's not super common. um so I think if you're going to choose a school, choose a program, choose wisely. I feel kind of bad saying the company I went through, but at the same time, how can I, in the first episode I didn't, but how can I give you my authentic self and opinion if I don't say? So the company I went with was CIEE. Don't get me wrong, they're a great company. I made good friends out of it. I learned a lot, but I will say talking to people who went through other companies, don't ask me the other companies' names. I don't remember at all. Um they, I think, for the same price, got a lot more out of their orientation and out of what it was because I we spend it's like depending on how many semesters you go, it can be between 1,000 to $2,000. I can't remember 100% remember the price. No, I paid about 2,000 because I did two semesters, and if you do one, it's 1,500. And then think about it, guys, like you're moving to Asia. It's not like they give you an apartment. Some schools will give you an apartment, but that has nothing to do with the program. That's just you just got lucky. Um so it's like placement and orientation, and that's pretty much it. And then, oh, I mean, you did get health insurance, so that was actually pretty great. But other than that, I think that what we got in our orientation wasn't didn't equal the $2,000 compared to what other people did with that money in their orientation. I think they went on a lot more adventures, learned a lot more, did few more excursions that we didn't do in orientation. I mean, it was great, don't get me wrong. It's just very overwhelming. It was a few days long. I remember it was over Halloween time of 2017. Oof, time flies. And they just throw so much info at you. And I'm gonna be honest, some of the things scare you, but it's just more the drastic way of things, but it's really not that scary, guys. I'm telling you, Thailand is it's not as it's underdeveloped, obviously, considered an underdeveloped country, but it's really safe and has a lot. So it's not like you're moving to Swaziland or something where they really just don't have as much things. No, Thailand has a lot. And so we did a lot. It was just really overwhelming. There were so many of us, which I think was a negative, is because it was right after the year of almost the year anniversary of when the king passed away. So things were totally different. So they put two orientation groups together. So that's what made it overwhelming, because you're just like, wow, there's so many people. It's like college orientation. And then, I mean, we did have an excursion in the sense of we did have a cute boat trip, and we did go to another city for just a day. There was like an hour and a half from Bangkok. But I as far as that, that was pretty much it. So I will say that I wish we had a little bit more things to do. That's probably my only negative. But as far as answering questions beforehand, they were great. They put us in Facebook groups. That was great. And I will say that, and they did help us throughout. But honestly, once you were there, you kind of just dealt with your own school. I got lucky with my placement, so I'm happy, but other people's weren't as happy with their placement. So yeah, if you have to, and then technically, like, they take money out of your paycheck every month from that. So the school's like, okay, we gave you X amount of bot per month, but really, but they give a certain percent, but they give a certain percentage of that to the school. So it's like it's really 1,300 baht. Let's say, obviously it's not. It's way more. It's like 1,000 baht a month. Really, the school is giving 1,200, but then maybe the program will get 200. I'm giving you an example. It's not the exact number, but this is from what I remember them telling us. So I will say it is going through an organization because you do feel more comfortable and safe. And I will say you do learn a lot, but the negative, really negative part is that it's super expensive. So that's what I will say. If anything, sign up to do it for one semester so it's cheaper. And then after that you just do it independently. And also you can just talk to people who've done it before, get the recommendation of their school and do that. And honestly, you'll make friends afterwards. Like, it's okay. But yeah, I will say, but I will say the best part about going with an organization is that to help you with your pre-departure as far as the visas and documents and work permit, because I had never done anything like that, so I didn't really know. So I will say that helped me be more comfortable. So I will say, that was one of the biggest positives of it. And if anything, just you when if you want to do the independent route, email the school, send your resume, any teaching experience or kids experience, and then yeah, then they'll interview you, you get hired. They can assist you with help, like finding you housing and the application process. So they will help you if you go through a school independently, they will help you. And if any questions you have. But yeah, guys, like you can do either or, organization or program. Just save up your money. And the TEFL. Number 2, you don't always need a TEFL to teach abroad, but it's always recommended. And never go through those $1,000 TEFL programs. I found one on Groupon for like $50, and it was the same thing, and I saved a hell of a lot of money. It's for Thailand, you don't need a TEFL. They just prefer, which is a teaching English as a foreign language certificate. it just depends on the school you go to. I mean, the country you're from and the school you work at. Like, I'm American. So they love American passports and they loved my accent because it's more neutral. So they will hire you on the spot. But most other countries, you do need a TEFL certificate. It's just so you can learn how to prepare for the to teach and stuff. I think it's recommended to get it. Like I said, go on Groupon, get it. Because if you don't go through an organization, you don't get a course learning how to do it. And it's better to go into it learn like knowing a little bit than knowing nothing. But you do need to pass your background check and have a university diploma. That is one thing you do need. And a lot of times, because there's so many people have saying that they had university degrees and they didn't, you actually have to bring your degree to abroad with you, which for me was so stressful because I was like, I don't want anything to happen to it. So when my parents came to visit after almost a year, I was like, please take back my diploma. I don't want anything to happen. Yeah, so it's that's one of the things that you have to do. Number 3, if you choose to get any vaccines done, get it done in Thailand. I know getting vaccines done in any developed first world country is super expensive. I did all my vaccines in Thailand. I got the Japanese encephalitis, Hep A and B, and my typhoid shot, and it cost me like $78. Yeah, in Bangkok at the hospital for tropical diseases. I mean, you can do it in your local hospital. Depends. Usually, there's always usually someone that speaks English in the hospital, and it was great. And but I know people who didn't do them, and they're okay too. So it all depends on how you feel about vaccines. And a rabies shot isn't necessary, but if you want, you can do it. But like no, I didn't do it, and I was okay. And you don't need malaria pills in Thailand unless you're going to be trekking through the deep, deep jungle, which most teachers aren't. Number 4, the school structure is very lenient in Thailand. Very, very lenient. You, as a foreign teacher, depends on the school. My first school, I was just there for listening and speaking. So we were just there till we had fun. We played games. We stop watching me. You're staying till tomorrow? Yay! Okay, I'm doing good on the episode. Can you go? Oh my god, you're interrupting the episode. Please go. Awesome. Okay. Yay. Close the door, please. So it was great. I was able to play games with them. They just wanted to like hear your accent and how to properly say words and work on their listening. So I got super lucky. There was no strict lesson plans, nothing like that. I know you get so nervous beforehand, but my panarai, don't worry. That means no worries in Thai. And honestly, the kids are just really excited to be taught by a foreigner, especially someone that's American or British. They're obsessed with those two countries. So it's so fun. I even taught them things about my Hispanic country, my Hispanic background, taught them what Spanish was. I played music. But my second school was stricter. I did have lesson plans. I did teach from a book. I was definitely more of a teacher, but it was a lot more lenient though. I wasn't expected to be a Thai teacher, but if you expect to work at maybe a legit for like not legit, I want to say a strict foreign school, or you are degree a teacher that has a degree in teaching, and you'll be teaching at an amazing school in Bangkok or Phuket or Chiang Mai, like you will be teaching like an actual teacher. So but that you get paid amazing, even more amazingly, so it's definitely worth it. I've had friends who went from to teaching in America and making the same money in Thailand, and or almost the same, and literally they are living their dream. 5, the clothing standards are a lot stricter in Thailand. You cannot, as a foreign, well, as a teacher, period, as a lady, you can, well, the males too, you cannot show your shoulders, you cannot show your knees. I mean, you can do like over the knees. Some of my outfits were definitely a little more over the knee, but you know, that's okay. No low cut shirts. If you have sandals, they need straps. Like t-shirts and pants aren't really allowed. Like they want you to dress more professional. And Thai people really are very into fashion. Like they look super cute, and there's a lucky color for every single day, and then you'll see all the yellow on the yellow day, all the pink on the pink day. So I loved it. I thought it was adorable, especially at my first school. They were super into fashion. And like I said, it depends on the school to be a little more lenient. Like, so like at my first school, I was able to wear with no straps, sandals with no straps. And the skirt didn't have to be below the knee length, but obviously nothing hoochie, nothing sexy. And bring a half suitcase of clothes. Don't stuff your suitcase going shopping beforehand with clothes, because you can go to the markets in Thailand or wherever you live, depending, obviously, and just go to the night markets and buy some really cheap, cute clothes. It was so much better. Number 6. This was probably the most annoying one. You cannot fail your students. And I will say, all the like, I had some slackers, but you cannot fail a student. The parents will either blame you for this child failing, or you just can't. You have to give them extra credit until they pass. It's so frustrating, but it is what it is. Even if your student just never shows up or does just sleeps, which I will say Thai students are more respectful, so they usually did show up. I, for the most part, had good students, so I can't attest to the really actual slacker students, but just give the makeup work extra credit. Or honestly, like, if they really just didn't show up, just have a Thai teacher deal with it, give them a 0, and then the Thai teacher will deal with it. I'm not really sure what happened to those students. That happened to me once, of all my students teaching my 2 years, so I can't really attest to that. But I did have some friends who just students never showed up. It's kind of sad, but whatever. Their fault, because some of them already just have jobs lined up for them post grads. They don't care. And then honestly, or what sucks? Sometimes you're just like, F it. The students didn't even do the extra credit, so you'd have to just change the points on your own. Just give them the bare minimum. But guys, it is what it is. Number 7, you're supposed to have a co-teacher with you that goes to class with you, so you can, they can help you with the language translating, because all the students will be separated by level of English, and some of them, poor things, don't know any English. And if you are new and you don't know any Thai, it's going to be really hard. So you're kind of just, it's a struggle bus with all of you. but but you can't expect them to always show up, because honestly, they're teachers too. Like, they have to deal with something, or sometimes they'll take the papers and grade, so they'll be there, but they can't help you the whole time. And frankly, they have a lot of work on their plates. So just figure it out, learn Thai, or find that one student that knows at least decent English and help them translate, or just use Google Translate. That's what I would do. I'd put it on the computer at the beginning when I didn't know, and I'd be like, this is what I'm trying to say. And they'd be like, oh, okay, teacher. Or I'd ask that one student that's good at English and be like, help me, please. And they would. So, yeah, or the co-teachers will show up late, not show up, or leave early. It's okay. Don't make it such a big deal. They're technically supposed to be there, but don't worry. Oh, and number 8, you will sometimes have to up to 1,000 students a week. Yeah, that number is insanely high. And it depends if you're teaching, the numbers will vary depending if you're teaching in the English program, which have smaller classes, because they actually have a fee, or depends if it's a government school, public school, private school. In my first school, I had 848 students and 21 classes. I know you're thinking, what the heck? Some of my classes range from 22 to 48. And I thought American schools were big. This is another level. So it was a lot. I definitely still remember all their nicknames, because they will give you Thai, they have Thai nicknames because that are in English, because some of their Thai names are just way too long. You will never remember them, but it's okay. You will remember their faces though. So that's good. And I know it can be a little overwhelming, but you just have to, you know, brace yourself. But like I said, Thai kids are really well behaved, I think, more than English American kids. So, or the Western kids, I like to say. But thankfully you'll have substantial amount of teaching breaks. Um, so you may teach like 14 to 22 50-minute classes a week, with a total of up to 4 breaks a day. So, it's not too bad. Or sometimes you may have 2 or 3 classes back to back, but honestly, just take it like how it is. It's still going to be one of the easiest jobs you ever have and so fun and rewarding. So don't worry because you have days off for holidays and stuff like that. And just look up some fun games to do in your class so you can have a little break from teaching or give them a good reward and sit back while they, do their thing. Number 9, you cannot, like, I stopped comparing everything to the educational system in America because if I kept comparing it, they're polar opposites. It was, activities and sports are totally different. The communication isn't that great. I'm gonna be honest. Like the foreign teachers and Thai teachers, like there wasn't always communication. We'd get to class, we'd be like, "Where is everybody?" Apparently, they have an activity. You didn't know about it, so no one's gonna go to class. It is what it is. They're separated by primary and secondary schools. So kindergarten to 6th grade is primary, 7th grade to 12th grade is secondary. Things are less strict. It's just different. You can't just don't compare it to your country. I stopped comparing it to America because I thought I was really gonna go in and teach. But like I explained, things are just different depending on the school. 10. This one is so frustrating. Cheating is very common among the students. It's you know, it could be sometimes the whole classroom that copies off of one kid, like their paper, and I tell them it's wrong. They don't see it as wrong. I don't know why. It's just part of like the culture, the school. You're there to make a difference, but you can't change things. Um, so sometimes I would have to do more work and make a new assignment and make sure to do this one on their own. And I'd be like, if you're gonna cheat, at least do it properly. Don't all do the same thing. But it is what it is. I don't agree with it, but like I said, you're just there to help, to do what you can. 11, do not expect your school to hand you all the supplies you need because you won't just have one classroom. You go to their classrooms, not they go to you. No, yeah, they don't go to you, you go to them. Or maybe they, like, you still, how in America we have one classroom as a teacher and the students come to you, they switch around. Let's talk about elementary school, right? No, that's not how it is. They You will go to them. So it could be a good thing or a bad thing, but then you're stuck carrying all your stuff. And since you don't have that one classroom, you can't decorate it all cute like most teachers do here. But, hopefully a teacher before you left some supplies. But yeah, you're going to have to make a quick run to the supply store to buy your own thing. Tesco was my favorite, which is the Thai version of Walmart because it's cheaper, and I do recommend buying some things beforehand because, like, whiteboard markers in America are way better than the ones I found in Thailand. So things like that. That's the one thing I remember I wrote, like, bring your own whiteboard markers. I remember someone telling me that too because they're, like I said, I don't know why, they're just not as good. I feel like they just like run out a lot faster. So just have a cute little handheld so you can walk around with your markers and your paperwork and your laptop if you need. And you bring a USB because a lot of times you will have to put a USB into the computer of each classroom to let things upload because sometimes you can't always plug in your computer. It depends. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, yeah. Also, bring your own toilet paper and soap to school because not all schools provide that. Actually, most places in Asia don't provide that, especially Southeast Asia. So, I'm gonna warn you, bring your own stuff. It is what it is. My panerai, you decided to go there, so you just gotta live with it. You know, I get it. That was a tricky one for me. Number 12. Some students will have great English, and some barely know past hello. It is what it is. It's just a little frustrating when they're in the English program and they do separate them by levels, but sometimes you still get those some students that just don't speak it well. But it's okay. And then they usually separate them actually by GPA, not always by English level. So that's why some can have conversations with you and some can't. So it depends on your school, but so my first, so yeah, it's just, but it is usually GPA based, but depending on their program, it could be also by the English level, but not always. But I knew when my students understood things is because they would say, "Oh," when they say, "Okay, teacher," they don't understand anything. Like they really don't. They really don't at all. That's why I came to learn it. Cause at first, for us we say okay, you're like, okay, they got it. But for them, okay, okay, is not okay. Like they don't know. That was always something I thought that was so cute. Cause imagine a group of Thai kids being like, oh, that's when I was like, yes, they understand. They understand. I was so happy. Number 13. So you actually will get to celebrate American holidays, even though Thailand is 94% Buddhist. They love American holidays. They love Christmas, Halloween, Valentine's Day. So they'll put out all the decorations. You'll have Christmas Day parties, Christmas decorations everywhere. They'll give you, but they do presents for New Year's Eve though. And that I think is super cute. So that was I was nice, a nice little difference. And they also celebrate, like the Chinese New Year and stuff. Like they love doing things from other countries, which I think is sweet because then it makes you feel a little bit like you're back at home. 14. So you may be one foreigner in your city or a small group of foreigners. So my first school, we actually had like a decent amount of foreigners, while some friends they were like the only foreigner in their city, which was rough. So that I will say, was a little hard for them because, like I said, when you're by yourself, it's hard. But at my second school, we had a lot of foreigners, a lot of expat teachers, like wow, and a lot that are even married to Taiwan men or women, like that I thought was so cute. It was great, like actually having a little expat community. We had our little expat bar, but a lot of it, we still had a good amount of Thai people in that expat community that were friends with us and be helping us. A lot of them ended up with expats. So I thought that was really cute. And like my first city, we had more Americans, Canadians, and Filipinos, and about one or two South Africans. But in my second school, we had a lot of South Africans, and they were all British, and some Americans, and then some from other countries like Mexico, Colombia, Portugal, Germany. But since they all spoke English, it worked. So even if English isn't your first language, like you can still get a chance to teach abroad as long as your accent is good. So that's the main thing. They have to, it's like your accent is the most important. And sometimes also the country because they'll be like, okay, Irish, wow, because they're from the Europe, they're great. But I'm be honest, some of the Irish people they would be speaking, even it would be hard for me to understand. But then they'd be like, oh, South Africans, they'd give them more trouble because they have the word African in them. But South Africans all speak English and their English is great. And for me, it's easier to understand than maybe from Ireland. But that's just how it is, guys. I don't, like I said, I don't make the rules. But it was nice standing out for once. And they're gonna stare at you hardcore. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and they'll ask you for selfies, especially if you're the blonde girl or like someone that looks different. I didn't have red hair back then. I just had curly hair. So they weren't used to curly hair. So they'd be like, ooh, and they love to touch my hair. So I thought that was so funny. But I'd be like, your hands are dirty. Don't touch my hair. Thank you. I love you though. Or make sure you use sanitizer. But so that's always it was really cute. At first it was weird, but I thought it was cute because it was just they were just not used to us. So I thought that it was just if it was interesting for us, I can imagine for them. 15. Oof. This for me was the roughest one. Do not expect your classes to have air conditioning. I repeat, exclamation point, sad face, sad face. I know. That's like the one major thing I didn't like about my first school. There was no air conditioning. My second school, most of my classes did because I was in the English program. But oh my God, my first year, ugh, truckers, like literally one class had air conditioning. It was hot. Like it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. And they had like overhead fans, but or a little one facing you, but it's not the same. So I would recommend buy a little handheld or buy one that plugs in and put it to you because if not, you know, like is you're just gonna get hot. And sometimes the students' overhead fans are better than yours. So you're gonna sweat. But like the foreign teachers, we move around a lot in class. I noticed that. While the Thai teachers, I was like, how are you never sweaty after class? Because they just sit their pretty little butts down and talk in a microphone. That's also something you're gonna do because your classes are so big, so you don't yell. You're gonna have a microphone, which is actually great because you don't want to be yelling over 45 students. It's just too much. And also a lot of times the windows are open to let the air in, or take out some of the hot air. So, there's gonna be sometimes outside noise that you want to talk over with the mic. Sometimes they don't work though, I'm gonna be honest, but I'm loud enough so I was able to talk over them and it was okay. 16. School lunch. Oh my god, this was probably my favorite one. Thai school lunches are 1 billion gazillion times better than American school lunches. And when I would tell my students, they would be like, "No way, teacher. And I'm not mimicking. And you guys don't come for me when you're saying I'm mimicking them. They actually talk like this. And it was so cute. They'd be like, "Teacher Nikki." I loved it. But their food was amazing. We call it the canteen. Every day you can try something new. They had stalls all around, and it was all like fresh made food in the morning though. So then by the time it gets to lunch, it's not really warm unless it's a soup. But that's okay. It's good because it's fresh and delicious food. Like I could get a soup or a stir fry or what a dessert, anything. And sometimes it is prepared in front of you. Not always though, and you could choose from maybe 5 to 10 sellers. I will say my first school's canteen was better. However, my second school, they gave the teachers food, which was nice. It was free food. But to be honest, sometimes it just wasn't that good. So a lot of times we would leave quickly to get lunch or we would just buy food because, I'm just be honest, some of the stuff I loved, and some of it I just sorry, just not a fan, not a fan. But like I said, you could get rices, noodle soups, fruit, smooth like fresh cut fruit was great, smoothies, desserts, all for 30 bar under. Fried chicken, they love fried chicken in Thailand. It's so good. It's less than $1. So for us, we're like, boom, I'd rather just buy my food. I never really cooked when I was in Thailand, so I never really brought lunch. It was just not necessary. And yeah, the language barrier will be hard, but I will tell you guys, it's one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever done in my whole life. I highly recommend teaching. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be frustrations, but just know that you're making a big difference in these kids' life. And I didn't know I did, but you will at the end of the semester. They'll tell you things about how you made a difference, and oh, it just like melts your heart and makes it know that you actually did something, because I did it because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help them and show them all these different things, show them talk to like to them about my culture. They taught me so much about Thailand. I cherished my 2 years in Asia so much. It's a time of my life that I would never ever take back. I don't like saying, "Oh, the best years of my life," but it was definitely something that I'll probably never do again. So that's why I cherish that time so much, and it really really was some of the most formative years of my life. And if you're ever thinking of doing it, it's not even something you just do post grad. We'd have people up to age 65 teaching. They'd move with their husband. Some people moved with their little child and put them in Thai school. It's doable. So there's no age limit. Just, you can make any experience great. Some people didn't have a great experience. I did. Most people did. It's honestly the easiest job you'll ever get while being rewarding. And, you can sit with your students at lunch and become like their little confidant. You can get to know each other. It's a totally different ambiance than America or wherever you come from. But just stay positive, be open, learn the language, and just embrace everything around you, because it really time flies. And once it's done, you'll be a changed person, but for the better. And yeah, these are all the things I wish I knew before I left, but you learn them pretty quick if you actually get there. And if you have any questions, send me a DM at cultured CVLTVRED underscore. Don't forget to like, subscribe this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever you listen on, and follow me on Insta just to keep keep in contact with everything that's happening and everything that's to come this season. So have a great day. See you next Tuesday, my little trekkers. Ciao. Mwah.